It's Chris Watkin, joined again by my very good friend Neil Martin, who is an estate and letting agency performance coach and all-round decent bloke.
I like that description.
You're a good man. You're a good man. You teach an awful lot of estate agents and letting agents and people in other businesses to be better versions of themselves.
Yep.
I know for a fact that you work with a couple of my clients and they think the world's of you. I was going to say sun shines out your backside, but
That's a little bit of an exaggeration. Although I did get once asked if I fart perfume. It was a long time ago, mind you.
I'm sure you do. The question I want to ask you is this, you said to me before we switched the cameras on, stop trying to be like the boss. What did you mean by that phrase?
Okay, so I actually, even on like social media, I see a lot of people going, oh, do this like a boss, act like a boss, be like a boss. Boss, like we've got this whole thing of like this boss lifestyle, you know, be the boss, be the... Do you know what I hear when I hear boss?
Go on.
I hear bossy. As in I hear bully. As in I hear control. I hear overpowering, not empowering. I hear shaming people. I don't hear support. I don't hear, listening. I don't hear empathy. I don't hear all the things that I think make someone a good leader.
Is this the difference between manager and leader?
Yeah, to a large extent it is. When people talk about be the boss, I think what they need to do is pause and go, no. Be the leader. All of these people who are teaching people, act up like the boss. Have a boss like, you see it all the time, boss babe, boss this, boss that.
Okay. I see an awful lot in a estate agency where a valuer becomes the manager and they act like the valuer as manager and they're coming in and telling people it don't work, does it?
No, exactly. Leadership for me, and I think we might even have talked about this the last time I was here, okay? But leadership for me, really it's about empowerment. Your job as a leader is to make yourself redundant.
I say to my team is that my job is to make you happy.
Yeah, but it's also to make yourself redundant. It's to make people self-reliant enough they don't need you. Which is scary for a lot of people, especially if they started the business. They're like, how can this business operate without me? It's operating at its best when you don't need to be there. Okay? It's when you look at people and you go, what are you really good at? How do I play to your strengths? Not this old-fashioned view of how do we work on our weaknesses. How do we play to our strengths? And if we've got weaknesses, let's find someone else that's good at those things and get them in that role, right? But how do we put someone else in power as themselves to show up as their best, to do the best possible job they can and make the business work that way? That's leadership. That's not being a boss. Being a boss to me is micromanagement. Being a boss to me is, I want to see every single detail of every single thing you do. Oh, and guess what? I'm also probably going to tell you you're doing it wrong. Being a leader is encouraging people.
How do people learn this?
One of my questions I quite often ask people is, would you say that to your 5-year-old self? Because if you wouldn't say it to your 5-year-old or any 5-year-old, why are you saying it at all? Because every single human being, unless they're under 5 years old, was 5 years old once, right? Still the same person inside there. Most of us have still got that inner child thing going on in some way, shape or form. How prevalent it is different with different people. But if you wouldn't say it to a kid, don't say it to an adult. Really good example actually. You think of kids, something I quite often do on stage. I'll ask a cheeky question, right? I'll say, raise your hand if you've got kids or you've ever been one. Right? Makes everyone's hand go up. I'll then ask them, have you ever watched a child learning to walk? Because if you watch a child learn to walk, what happens? They pull themselves up on a piece of furniture or someone's leg, they take one step, and what happens next?
Fall down.
They fall over. And then what do?
They get back up again.
They pull themselves back up and they take one step, maybe 2 steps, and they fall over, right? When do we encourage them? Every single time they pull themselves up. Okay? What do we do to adults? Do we encourage them every time they pull themselves up, or do we criticise them every time they fall down?
We criticise them when they fall down.
We do if we're acting like a boss.
Yes.
A boss says, you failed. Oh, that's your fault. Oh, why did you do it like that? Oh, why did you send that email out with 3 spelling mistakes in it? Rather than going, I know there's 3 spelling mistakes, but look at the click-through rate on that thing. Well done. Next time, spell check it though, yeah? there's different ways of dealing with the same thing. There's different ways of dealing with the same thing. And, if we wouldn't yell at the kid going, how dare you fall down? Don't you know you're supposed to be able to walk already? Maybe you shouldn't even try walking anymore. Maybe you should stick to crawling. You were good at that. You're getting above your station now, thinking you can stand on your own 2 feet. What's that all about? We smack people down. The number of times I've seen people, like you say, particularly when they've been promoted from a job to run the job they used to do, where they're trying to micromanage every detail because they're just trying to go, but this is how I did it. Well, maybe there's a better way than the way you did it. Maybe someone else actually knows how to do the job better than you. They actually say the best leaders are the ones that hire people that are better than them. But it's a scary thing to do because it's intimidating. But that is the way I think a lot of these things work. And I also think if you look at, you can use football as a quick analogy here. Look at some of the best manager coaches of football teams. They weren't the best players.
No, that's right.
Look at a lot of the best players who've tried to become managers of football teams. They haven't done very well in their management career. The ones that were maybe, on the right wing and they were an average player and they did pretty well, they've gone on to be phenomenal as leaders. Because it wasn't about ego. It wasn't about having all the spotlight on them. It wasn't about them having the success and everyone else having the failure. It's that difference between I won and we lost. Flip it round. We won, and as a leader, if it goes wrong, it's my responsibility. And I'll take it on the chin, because that's what I'm paid for. I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to thank you for your help and your support and trying to make it work. And we're going to try and learn lessons from things, and we're going to try and do it better next time. But more than anything, I'm going to try and find out what makes you tick. And I think if I could leave any one thing in people's minds, and this isn't just about your team. This isn't just about people that work for you. This is about your customers too. It's about every person you interact with in your business. If you make them feel like they're understood, you'll get the best out of them. But what does a boss do? A boss says, you better understand me. A leader says, I want to understand you.
In essence, you work for them, they don't work for you.
Yeah, exactly that. Your job is to make their life easier. Your job is to make their job easier. Your job is to do whatever it takes to make everybody else's role in the business gel and create the right outcome, and to try and make sure they enjoy being there. Because if they don't enjoy being there, you'll never get the best out of them anyway.
No. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Chris.